Once again from DPL Surveillance Equipment. We're a full-service security and surveillance equipment company. I'm doing my typical 5-mile walk. That's why you hear the crunching sound of me walking through along this trail in the dirt. It's about 85 degrees at least. Certain places, wind finally kicks up to get a little bit of shade or something. But basically, just trying to get my exercise in. And I suggest you guys do the same. There's nothing wrong with having very good health, decent wealth, prosperity, spiritually balanced, have your personal business affairs in check and improving hopefully, and trying to basically have everything balanced and have everything, running, hopefully at a decent kill, a decent level, as many things as possible at least. So as you strive to round out the things that are going on in your life and business-wise, and make sure everything hopefully can run at a sufficient level, a sufficient pace. Anyway, before I start rambling too much, the reason why I'm here today is because I want to let you know, as usual, first of all, I run a full-service surveillance and security equipment company, lifetime guarantees and warranties on all the products, 24/7, 365 tech sales and customer support, largest inventory of items that not only can you buy, but you can rent or lay away, significant number of articles, videos, podcasts, product demonstration videos in the library. Go there, check it out. Let me know what you think. And we do accept Bitcoin. We'll be integrating more and more cryptos into our shopping cart. We'll be removing credit cards and such from the website, mainly because of the way things are being handled in the credit card industry. It's really an annoyance. It's really too much overhead, too much bureaucracy, too much of a distraction for our business model. And speaking of such, there's a grocery store chain by the name of Kroger, Kroger. They're the world's largest grocer out there. And they decided to ban Visa credit cards from the stores. Now, this is a big deal, mainly because Kroger, right now, we're looking at 21 stores and 5 fuel centers in Central and Northern California, including San Francisco and Sacramento. Kroger got fed up with the swipe fees charged by Visa, particularly, and see we merchants, we contribute $90 billion each year by paying swipe fees to Visa, MasterCard, and those guys. So that's $90 billion a year, and we, that's a lot of money that we could be using to pass along everyday low prices to consumers. Now, see, a lot of consumers don't realize it, but if you can walk into a store and each and every day you get low prices on everything that you buy versus having us hike up our prices because Visa, MasterCard, and those guys are charging us so much that we need to raise the prices to cover those costs, right? But if I didn't have to pay them, I wouldn't have to charge as much as I charge, right? I can give free shipping, I can give discounts, I can give all sorts of incentives, you name it. Maybe even in the Bitcoin transactions, we can give you not only big discounts because we don't have to pay merchant fees and discount fees, but we can actually give you maybe loyalty, cryptocurrency rewards or something. You could end up with a good amount of free Bitcoin or Ethereum or Litecoin or something, and that way, you can probably be one of those individuals who, do found that they've done very well just because of they accumulated enough cryptocurrency, and then just to have it go up, extremely well. Then that way that'll be something that you can be proud of in terms of you making a smart decision to get loyal to our rewards points and cryptocurrency. Anyway, the Kroger decided to fight back, fight those swipe fees, and if they expand this throughout the chain, this could be a big deal. So far this is relegated to California, but Kroger is actually thinking about expanding it, and who knows what could happen in the future. So let this be a lesson to you guys. Target, Walmart, whoever, even Amazon or something. If you want to put some pressure on Visa and MasterCard and those guys, you may want to join Kroger and remind those guys, remind Visa that, they shouldn't take this $90 billion number for granted. We don't have to spend that much money every year in ransom fees just to use a stupid plastic card transmitting electronic information over a network. It's unfathomable to think that we're getting that much value from an electronic movement of money. It just doesn't make sense. And you have to be retarded to think that moving money in electronic age costs so much. Everything else is going down. Everything that moves over the internet, everything that moves over telecommunications, wires or something, it's been going down in price and cost. But for some strange reason, when you send money over Visa or MasterCard's network, the costs go up. Okay, that's the biggest scandal and scam I've ever heard of. So anyway, moving right along from that one. But just remember, Kroger is banning the use of Visa cards, and moving right along. The next topic is American Express quietly hiked Forex prices on business clients without warning, employees say. Again, this is American Express, and they have a division responsible for foreign exchange. And one way or the other, if you gave American Express permission to handle your foreign exchange, you could very well be one of the victims of having your foreign exchange rates hiked up without your knowledge. Okay, for more than a decade, this has been going on, and let's see, this practice was widespread within the foreign exchange department, was occurring until early this year and dates back to 2000 and at least 2014. What else? The practice targeted mostly small and mid-sized businesses. The people said a group of customers that accounts for about a quarter of the company's credit card revenue. American Express is one of the largest business card issuers in the United States. Earlier this year, said it hoped to become the leading payments and working capital provider for small and middle market companies. Despite what it wants to do and making these statements as if it wants to be legitimate, the employees were incentivized to gouge small and mid-sized businesses, mainly because small and mid-sized businesses didn't have the staff or the technical expertise to monitor these transactions closely to try and figure out whether or not we're being overcharged or not. Okay? This is a quotation. "Who cares if they come or go? Let's make money while we have them," said one current employee, referring to the attitude within the division. Commissions are tied to monthly revenue targets, which are heavily influenced by margins and transaction volume, current and former employees said. So in other words, when it was time for you to make your bonus or make your commission, unless you met these revenue targets by charging excessive foreign exchange rates, then you didn't get your high commission or your bonus or whatever. So, this was an issue, right? Commissions rise to around 25% after an annual revenue target of as much as around $285,000 is exceeded, they said. Sales reports distributed by managers list how much revenue salespeople generate, they added. Salespeople who hit their targets earn a commission of 15% of the monthly revenue new customers generate, according to current and former employees. At American Express, rate increases often would occur after managers told salespeople to review their accounts and adjust pricing, the current and former employees said. So basically, the employees sound like we're going back after the fact and trying to see whether or not there was room to raise those rates. Particularly, the idea was to first get you in there as a client, get the business, and then you go back after the fact, and then you review those accounts and you hike those rates accordingly, mainly just to raise your commission. And that was the only reason. It had nothing to do with the actual customer and helping out the customer, or it was basically for to put monies into the pockets of the employees and managers. Managers directed salespeople to keep the details of the payment agreements hazy when speaking with potential customers and to avoid putting pricing terms in emails, said current and former employees. This is how it worked. According to current and former employees, salespeople would often tell potential clients that American Express would beat the price they were paying banks or other financial institutions to convert currency and send money abroad. The salespeople didn't inform customers that the margin, a markup that Amex tax onto the base currency exchange rate, was subject to increase without notice, they said. Prospective clients with certain Amex cards also were accurately told that they could earn points for the transactions, they added. Sometime later, salespeople would increase the margin without informing the customers, the current and former employee said. To spot the change, customers generally would have to log into their accounts and compare the rate Amex was offering to the market exchange rate at the time of the transaction. As recently as this year, they said some customers had margins increase anywhere from 0.05 to 0.25 of a percentage point. In earlier years, margins rose by as much as 3 percentage points, according to former employees. So anyway, this is something prevalent not only with American Express, but with Wells Fargo and more than likely other institutions as well. So to summarize that particular article, just letting you know, these people are crooked. At American Express, they're crooked. At Visa, they're crooked, and Wells Fargo and all the other guys. Once one company finds out a way to cheat people, the managers, the employees will go from company to company, bringing each scam along with them. That's why you see these things repeated from company to company, and everybody is aware of it. This is not isolated at all. Next subject. Massive network crash temporarily renders Visa cards useless in UK and Europe. Again, massive network crash temporarily renders Visa cards useless in UK and Europe. Basically, there was a massive network crash in this year, as a matter of fact, where people in the United Kingdom and UK couldn't use their credit cards, okay? Visa, debit, and credit cards were useless. And a lot of people, for instance, were stranded as they got off work and they went into the subways, they went into the transit systems, and they tried to buy the fare or the tickets back home. And lo and behold, the plastic was useless. The plastic wasn't even worth the plastic anymore because it wouldn't work. The network was down. And these guys, a lot of these companies have the gall to accuse Bitcoin of being unstable and unreliable and all of this, when in fact, these protected industries like Visa and MasterCard and the credit card industry, they're protected by way of the lobbyists who lobby the congressmen and senators in Washington, D.C. to make sure that they spread as much FUD and doubt as possible as far as why Bitcoin is a reliable payment mechanism. And but then we find out that we got massive network outages that are stranding thousands of people in various countries. And even though these guys have been around for a long, long time. So I don't know what the excuse is in terms of why these networks aren't more stable, more reliable. and why the hackers keep stealing all of our data records to the tune of about 1 billion records, which have been stolen so far. So that means every person in America, including about 700 million more outside of America or whatever, actually has their data stolen. This is how trustworthy and reliable and stable and scalable this credit card industry thing is. So anyway, all told, the issue has created a pretty big headache for a lot of Europeans who found that when trying to buy tickets for a train or bus ride home after work, the cards in the wallets had suddenly reverted to being useless pieces of plastic. Okay? In addition to many gas and railway stations, other major outlets, including Marks and Spencer's and Sainsbury's, are unable to accept payments from Visa cards, with The Guardian reporting that after learning about the issue, some customers were simply dumping their shopping at the tills or in the stores. They just basically abandoned the transactions. So anyway, there's lots of complaints, lots of tweets that talk about exactly what happened. So anyway, that summarizes that article, and I'm going to include this. I'm going to include the complete article associated with this podcast, so you can see the details. Let's move on to the next reason why I think the credit card industry is probably seen as its best days, and the best days are probably behind it. The next subject: why the credit card boom may have just peaked. Card lenders are feeling the pinch as loan losses and rewards expenses rise. Following some of their strongest years ever, credit card issuers are grappling with an uneasy future. Rising loan losses and increased rewards expenses are putting pressure on card lenders' returns. The result is that one of the most profitable consumer lending categories in recent years may become more of a middling player. The easy money has been made in card lending, said Don Vendetti, a consumer finance analyst at Wells Fargo. While cards remain highly lucrative for banks, the benefits of a rising interest rate environment have been muted lately. The added revenue of cardholders paying more in interest payments each month has also been offset by growing competition from lenders trying to poach card customers by offering lower rates. So basically, what I want to get across, the point I want to get across to you guys is, interest rates are rising. Credit card companies make more money when they have higher interest rates associated with the cards. Okay, that part is true. But remember, when you have online balances, particularly with credit card companies, they have to pay you more money on that balance. And believe it or not, that's when profit margins get squeezed, when you're obligated to pay out increased rates, particularly in this case, like an online balances that you may have with these credit card companies and such. They have to pay you more money, even though the interest rate that they're charging on the cards brings in money. But if I'm not paying my card bill, not only do I not pay it on time, but I don't pay it at all. See, some of these guys, they're not paying their credit card bills at all. Thus, this is why, they have such a high delinquency rate and default rate, where you first get behind and then you just say, forget it, I can't pay it at all. So then you don't pay your credit card, right? And it just becomes a charge-off. It becomes it becomes a loss for the credit card issuers. And these costs are going up more and more and more. Credit cards became an appealing loan category for banks in the wake of the last recession. Card balances grew at an accelerating rate in recent years, reaching a 7% year-over-year growth rate early last year. The total balances exceeded $1 trillion in January, the highest on record, according to the Federal Reserve. But that coincided with an increase in loan losses from historically low levels, as banks set aside more money for future write-offs. They also tightened their underwriting standards, resulting in slowing growth. Card balance growth in March was up 4.8% from the year earlier, compared with a 6.1% increase in March 2007 from the year earlier period. So, you know, everybody's affected. Capital One, American Express, Citigroup, Discover, Synchrony, everyone is experiencing a hit to their bottom line. I mean, these returns on the stock in these companies are pretty dismal because of when you set aside money for loan losses and your default rate and loan losses go up, your stock doesn't perform as well. So the industry was at an unsustainably high level, so it's coming down, said David Nams, which is fair. I mean, you know, if you've really been making good money before and you slow down a little bit, that's to be expected. But I think what the major problem is that over the long term doesn't look like it's improving very much at all, okay, as far as the delinquency rates as such. Besides, they mentioned underwriting standards, meaning that I'm going to be more and more critical of who I sign up to use these cards. So as you get less and less people signing up because of tighter underwriting standards, then that means overall there's less people using your cards. And only the best of the best people end up with cards when you tighten up your underwriting standards. What else? Some analysts predict that profitability will keep falling, though it remains significantly higher than many other banking products. Credit cards delivered a projected 3.8% return on assets to 14 large banks, blah, 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 blah. Shares are down for Discover. Shares are down for Synchrony. You name it. The average net charge-off rate, or the share of outstanding debt that issuers wrote off as a loss for 8 of the largest credit card issuers, reached a nearly 5-year high of 3.46% in the first quarter, according to Fitch Ratings. The increases have become worrisome indicators for some shareholders of consumers' inability to pay debts at a time when unemployment is low. So, you know, it's a little bit irony there. If unemployment is low, if unemployment is low, and that coincides at the same time with the inability of consumers to pay, that's not a good sign for your business. Okay, you want low unemployment. So, but at the same time, if you're not benefiting from it, then you got a problem as a business. Another pain point for card issuers is the cost they incur from so-called gamers who search for the highest reward on their cards. These consumers sign up for credit cards with rich sign-up bonus offerings, and then stop using the card once they have tapped out the early rewards. So this is something that, you know, a lot of people have caught on to. They get the free dinner, they get the free hotel room, motel room, they get their free perks, airline miles or something, and then they dump the card when they exhaust the rewards points. There is no loyalty in that loyalty program as far as the consumers or credit card holders are concerned. They will dump your card as soon as they exhaust those reward points, and they'll jump to the next card as quickly as I don't know what. The credit card attrition rate, which is a measure of how many cards consumers and card issuers close, reached 15% in 2007, up from less than 10% a year earlier, according to Mercator, a rating firm. So basically, you're going up from 10% to 15% as far as the attrition rate, which again measures is a measurement of this problem of how many cards consumers and card issuers close. So if you're closing these accounts, that's not a good sign. That means you're not making any money and you wrote it off, and it's a permanent loss, a permanent expense that you just have to take a loss on as a credit card company. What else? Okay, that's about it for this particular session. So anyway, I hope these things give you some sort of accurate portrayal of what's going on with the credit card industry. And, you guys know me. I always like to compare this to what's happening in the Bitcoin cryptocurrency sector, where we're trying to put responsibility and accountability and transparency back into finances. We want you to see where your money is going via the blockchain. We want you to know that there's a certain amount of currency in circulation, 21 million, and that's it. We want you to know that you can keep your money in a hard wallet in your possession and no one can take it away from you. We want you to know that we don't believe in middlemen, intermediaries. We don't believe in centralized authorities telling you what to do. We think money is free speech. And we think that once it becomes digital, it's indeed free speech and constitutionally protected. It should be. Last time I checked, free speech was definitely protected under the First Amendment, I think it is. And anyone that tells you that when something is digital, that there's a way to limit the ability to transmit it and access it, they're just fooling themselves, because most of us know, and you guys should know, that once things become digitized and put on the internet or put online, it's almost impossible to stop it from being transmitted and sent back and forth, because numbers and letters and such, it's just one of those things that once it's out there, it's out there. You forget about stopping it. So anyway, that's what Bitcoin is all about. It's for better, for worse, our technology, the payment platform, a way of transmitting value, and over the internet, over communications mediums, satellite, microwave, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, RF, you name it. It's pretty much unstoppable. So we're going to wrap this session up. I'll put the details of the article included with the podcast. Go back, review it, understand what's going on. This is a trend. This is a peek into the future. And hopefully you can benefit from things that you're aware of, as compared to being surprised by things that catch you off guard or that you're ignorant about. So anyway, we'll talk to you later. You guys have a great day. I'm going to wrap up my 5-mile walk. I guess it's about time already. It's already 4 o'clock. I think I started at 2:20. So it's about time for me to wrap this up. Anyway, it was a pleasure, and we'll talk to you guys later. Have fun. Bye.